Hey guys, hello and welcome to another installment of Vince and Films. My name is Vincent and I'm still trying to break the record of most films seen in a cinema in 1 year here in Paris, where I'm currently living, and this week has been rather busy. We are now day 231, November 1st, 2017, which is a national holiday here in France, so I'm laying low, keeping it simple. It is the morning. I did not plan to see any film today, but I'm going to see one film because I've seen 19 films this week, and with the one today I will be at 20 films seen in 1 week, which is, I think, my personal record. Maybe I've done it before, but I'm certain I haven't reached beyond more than 20 films, and it is rather exhausting. And so this week has been rather busy, not only because of the amount of films that I've seen, but also because of the great variety of films I got to see and because of some events. But the highlight was the screening of Back to the Future at the Luxor Cinema. It was a great deal of fun, just watching it on the huge screen with the original version and French subtitles, with parents with their children who brought them, small kids, 5, 6, 7 years old, and you saw and you heard that they had a blast watching it. And for me, it affected me more than I thought it would. I just was thrown back into when I was young and saw it on German TV in a German dubbed version, and still it was just such a great film. When you think about it, it is, even though it was filmed in 1985, which is 32 years ago, and yet it's still a classic. You can watch it whenever. It doesn't feel dated, even though it's 30 years old, and even though technology has taken a giant leap, because the subjects that are just treated and in the film are untimely. So great experience. A lot of fun, but I also got to see, because it is Halloween, screenings of Universal's first monster movies. You had The Mummy of the 30s. There were films in the 30s and 50s. There was Dracula, The Mummy, Frankenstein, Bride of Frankenstein. I got to see those films, which were great. And a friend told me that what they should have done with the new Mummy, which was like that with Tom Cruise, if they had just stuck with the original storyline, this film would have been, let's just say, not worse than it was this year. And I can only agree, because The Mummy was great. I think my favorite of the 6 films that I saw. But otherwise, I got to see another film that is called Thor Ragnarok. I don't know if you've heard about this. I think it comes out only this weekend in the United States. It came out last Wednesday in France. And let's just say it was a great cinematic experience. I had a lot of fun. It was very funny. I laughed a lot. And I have to say, though, that among the films of the MCU, I think it was the first or the only one that really felt kind of off in regards to its connection to the other films. I had a great time, and it's going to do a lot of money because it is a fun film. And, the general audience just goes to see 1 or 2 films a month, or a year even, and so they just go to see a good film that is funny and a lot of fun, and it is a spectacle with action, special effects, and just great characters. A lot of fun, and I think it's going to do very, very well. That being said, when you think about the MCU wanting to connect everything and to have a common thread and be consistent with the other films that they've done before, I think this is a film that is closer to Guardians to the Galaxy than to Thor 1 and Thor 2, and it's a bit off because of that, because Thor, the character and the people in there, are not as funny as they are portrayed in this installment. I mean, it is logical because of the director. It is what's his name, Taika Watiti, which is a great director. He directed What We Do in the Shadows and Hunt for the Wilder People, and those films are great. If you haven't seen What We Do in the Shadows, this is a hilarious movie of a guy who does a documentary about vampires and is just in the middle of their lifestyle, and it is amazing. That being said, this whole style was brought into Thor, and it works. I mean, it is a lot of fun, but that being said, it is somewhat disconnected to what we've known about Thor before, even though he was kind of funny and could have made jokes. In this film, everybody made jokes. Everybody, from Hela the bad guy, to Thor, to Loki, to Heimdall, Idris Elba. He can make jokes, but after seeing the first and the second one, I would have never expected him to slash some bad guys, protecting some innocent people, and then turning around and saying, sorry about that. Great experience, but when I talked about this with a friend of mine who is a hardcore comic book fan, and another friend who enjoys some MCU, both of them hated the film or didn't like it. And the reason being that when they thought about Thor Ragnarok, they thought about the comic book series, and they felt disappointed because it wasn't as grand, as threatening, as devastating as they thought it would be. And I understand, because at no point I thought that, Thor is in peril, he's going to die, it's all over. I didn't feel that way at any moment. And for me, even though some people disagree and say that it is an action movie with comedic elements, I think it's a comedy. I think it's a comedy with action elements for the simple reason that everyone, like I said before, everyone is making jokes in this film. So that's that. Still, great film to see, a lot of fun. Go check it out if you like the MCU and Thor, and you will have, if you're a girl and you like Chris Hemsworth, you'll get your share of, flesh, let's put it that way. I was about to say share, which is the French term for flesh. Thanks for tuning in. I think we'll be talking about the 500 films in 2 weeks. Until then, salut.